Yeah, so you are optimistic that some of the best aspects of Biden's domestic agenda, most importantly, labor and antitrust, you think there's actually a decent chance some of that could get carried over and translated into a Harris administration? Because I totally agree. Those are by far the best parts of Biden's administration, maybe the only good parts of Biden's administration. And it would be a shame if, a Kamala administration reverted to
Yeah.
Obama style of economics.
I'm somewhat hopeful on that. And she has one thing she's been fairly consistent on is she's been pretty good on labor. In California, union support is important. She did what she needed to do there. She's been in solidarity in terms of like, I'm not going to stay in a hotel. I'm not going to cross a picket line. Unions really like her, especially I was reading Jeff Stein's analysis. Apparently, like SEIU, service sector unions really like her. She's had a commitment to like the quote unquote care economy. So there are some reasons to be somewhat hopeful there. But if you also look into her record, especially when she was in California, you can find lots of reasons to be very pessimistic about what it's going to be. So I think most of the hope comes not from her record, but more from an aspiration that we've shifted into a new political era where this is just kind of like the normie Democrat stance. I am, I'll tell you what I think about her on Gaza as well, which again, I'm not looking at this through rose-colored glasses. I'm not expecting her to like put on a watermelon t-shirt and be out there protesting genocide Joe, right? However, Bibi Netanyahu has made himself a very partisan figure. And I do think the just sort of normie Democrat reaction to Netanyahu in particular and the state of Israel in general has shifted. Biden is particularly ideologically committed to unconditional Israel support, self-identified Zionist. His view of Israel is stuck in roughly 1972 and whatever impression he had at that point in time. Kamala, I don't think is ideological in the same way, to the extent that Biden was willing to tank his whole freaking presidential run in order to support the genocide. I think if you had a Kamala Harris, I don't expect her to be principled, but even if she was just reasonably weighing,
concerned about her own hide,
pros and cons of this policy, I think she would end up in a better place. So that's why I am somewhat hopeful that on Gaza she may be better, not good, better than what Biden has been, because it'd be hard to be worse.
Yeah, that segues really well into my last question for you, Krystal. You tweeted last night something that I thought was very well put. You said, all the quote, Joe Biden is a great man bullshit is truly sickening. He dedicated himself to the mass slaughter of children in Gaza. And if there is a shred of justice in this world, that will be the remembered legacy of his administration. If we were asking you to expand on that, how would you encapsulate the legacy of Joe Biden, given the fact that, you were completely fair about the minimal strides he took on domestic policy, but largely the fact that it'll be overshadowed by all the blood on his hands?
Yeah, I mean, you guys know I was out there aggressively making the case for, hey, pre-genocide, hey, don't just vote for Biden because he's the lesser of two evils. There's affirmative reasons to reelect this man. That all gets that's nothing compared to the mass slaughter of children, women, everyone, utter annihilation, destruction. I just watched a video about, doctors coming back and say they're seeing unbelievable numbers of kids with bullet wounds to their heads, like snipers directly taking them out. Lancet is saying that there's probably 186,000 Palestinians in Gaza who've been killed. So I can't look at that and think, oh, what a great man, what a brave and selfless man. Even if you don't give a shit about Palestinian lives or genocide, even if you're like, the purest distilled form of MSNBC liberal and the only thing you care about is defeating Donald Trump, this man made a very selfish decision to break his pledge to be a bridge to the next generation, blocked a democratic process, perpetrated a cover-up, and betrayed the American public by hiding the extent of his decline, and had to be kicked out of this office, kicking and screaming. And by the way, left the Democratic Party in a much more difficult position in order to defeat Donald Trump. If again, that's your whole raison d'etre to defeat Donald Trump. So no, I don't think he's a good man. I don't think he's a kind man. I don't think he's a compassionate man. I don't think this decision was brave or heroic. I think if he had any thought that he could cling to power for an instant longer, he would have done it, and he deserves 0 accolades for finally being forced down, kicking and screaming.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. I think, his, it was
I got applause.
it was the humiliating defeat that he deserved as a political figure responsible for so much evil. I mean, we haven't even talked about the crime bill, everything. This guy's entire career is just him being on the wrong side of history, only to then, gaslight everyone about how he was actually the best president ever and the most moral leader.
Every world leader respects him, Gavin. Find him a U.S. ally that doesn't respect him.
I am curious. I am curious how history will remember him, because I wish I could feel confident that our concern for Palestinian lives would be reflected in history books and in humanities, retrospective concern, but I can't say that I feel very confident about that. So I think it may in large part hinge on whether or not he sets the Democratic Party up for a historic defeat. Like if he anoints Kamala and Kamala goes on to win, I think that's probably one legacy written by the history books. And if they lose badly and Trump gets back in and we get, more Supreme Court picks and it goes in that direction, it probably looks a different way from history. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh gosh, the horror.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Krystal, for joining us this afternoon live on the Vanguard. We had such an amazing time chatting. So many great insights. Always a pleasure to pick your brain a little bit. So thank you for stopping by. Hope you have a great rest of your day.
Always great to see you both. Take care.
Thanks.